Hey guys!
Heyo.
Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is September 20th, 2017, and it marks an incredible earth-shattering earthquake in Mexico that has done extensive damage. It's killed
devastated. 248 so far.
Oh my gosh.
We know that number is going to rise. One of the most horrific stories, you guys, I'm going to hit right off the bat. It's just devastating. 20 school children in a school killed. Just absolutely devastating. So some of these pictures, some of these videos that you're about to see are really disturbing. Fast forward if you want to go on to the rest of today's news. We're going to cover some crazy Nancy Pelosi and some crazy Maxine and things like that. But this is what's important right now. Our hearts and prayers are going out to the people in Mexico right now. And let's take a look here. So the epicenter was located in Puebla, located about 75 miles from Mexico City. 20 children have been confirmed dead after a school collapse. Another 30 children, 8 adults are missing. It came just days after an 8.1 magnitude earthquake hit the country, killing another 98 people. So we didn't even cover the first earthquake, and I'm just sick about it, you guys. So let's go to some of these videos here.
The place looks like a war zone. It's just absolutely
looks like a war zone.
We've been told that we cannot stay here for the next hurricane coming through. And what we're going to do now is we're going to head for Puerto Rico. It's not too far away, and we've got better facilities there.
He's headed for Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is getting slammed.
Probably not the best idea for that guy. Slammed, the buildings here. I'm going to get. There's some videos that I've seen where some pool water was just sloshing right out the pool, the ground. This is some aftermath, but we're going to get to some videos of the actual earthquake. These are people rescuing people.
These are heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, oh, man. This is in Mexico, the Enrique Rabasam school collapsed, killing 20 children and 2 adults.
Otto says that there was an earthquake in Asia today as well.
Wow. Wow. So, let's see, the power was cut to 40% of Mexico City and 60% of the Mexico State. Just absolutely devastating here. This is there's no sound to this. This is the Mexican president surveys the earthquake damage from the sky. There's videos of buildings collapsing. When you see some of these videos with the dust, you know that the buildings were collapsing. There's vigils here for
it's like just dead bodies just laying there.
Yeah, just people without homes, sleeping in the streets for the night, nowhere to go. Look, just these buildings just fell. Look at that. Look at that.
No.
Wow. Wow. It just fell over. It just topples to the ground, and of course already beginning just crumbling everywhere. Buildings just crumbling to the ground.
So Albert Crow wants to know, he says, do you think that this is an aftershock or another incident?
I think it's another incident from where they were showing the epicenters, but I don't know. Here's the two. Good question, because this just came up. This is the 8.1 on September 7th, and then this one right here. So it's definitely, you know, it's around, from what I understand, a volcanic area. So, yeah, just people now, the aftermath, everybody is just moving rocks one by one.
I'm glad to see a lot of them are wearing hard hats.
Yeah. Search and rescue, you just have to.
And look at that for a second, though. I mean, that big giant thing is the only way to get in there. I mean,
so I'm gonna make a bad, very politically incorrect, possibly insensitive joke in the midst of this. But if there's anyone you want getting you out, it's a Mexican.
That's very true.
Because they work.
It's true, though.
Work like a Mexican, man. They will work until their fingers bleed and.
It's not a bad joke, though. That's a compliment.
It is. It is. When we talk about illegal immigration, it's not that we don't want Mexicans here. It's not that we don't want to work with Mexicans. It's that we don't want illegals here. We don't want wages brought down low. Okay, the Mexican people themselves are great people, and I think we need to make.
And they are very hardworking, very family oriented.
Yeah. There's too much of a good thing if it's not done right, right?
And I think, though, although I know you meant it as a joke, but in all honesty, it should bring some hope to this situation when you think about it. Yeah. The Mexicans really do know how to get a job done quickly and efficiently and thoroughly. And so...
And even their dogs. This is Frida.
Look at Frida with the little...
52 people.
52 people she found so far, and she's got goggles, man.
Just so...
Doggy goggles. How do you get goggles that fit on a dog? I mean, that's special dog goggles.
So you can see the dust clouds of where the buildings have fallen. I'm going to try to get to some of the videos. This is one where you literally see the ground. It looks like it's breathing during this earthquake.
Whoa, they shouldn't be running over that, man. Whoa, stop there. Stop.
They're waiting for, like, Ghostbusters.
No, seriously,
This is a tragedy. I'm not laughing at the situation, but this looks like a monster. This looks like ghosts are going to come right up out the bottom of the ground here.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's the earth moving with that. And the car's waiting. Okay, now it's safe.
Oh, stupid car. I'm sorry. No, motorcycle. Dude, insanity. That is not smart. No, that's you couldn't go around the sidewalk.
Salga mejor a ver si puede. Todos en entrar al edificio. Sí. Oye, sí, no muevas porque estás sosteniendo la estructura. Se va a caer el niño. No muevas. Solamente hay que ver. Pero por aquí. Pero entonces, aquí, mi amor. Aquí, mi amor.
People in there.
Aquí, usted te ven, mi amor. No me vayas a arrestar. Ahora que vayamos, me saca por allá.
Look at them rescuing
Wow. I'm gonna get emotional here. This is so sad.
There's Frida again.
There's Frida. Yay, Frida! Yay, Frida. Wow. I know I'm going to get to some more videos here. Oh, that's the rescue video again. This was a interesting video, where just take a look, everything's moving as it should. And then you'll see people come out. Here comes the sirens. And then things start to shake, and then everyone floods out of the buildings. Look at that!
Wow!
This is crazy. You can see the flagpole in the middle shaking.
You really can see the most.
And everybody just floods out of the buildings because you don't want to be in a building.
Yeah, you can definitely see that flagpole.
And see all these people here just flooding. Obviously, the center of this square,
that's where I'm headed.
It's probably the best place to be, so the safest place to be, and people just keep...
and how long did it last?
It's still going, so this is a time-lapse of 1:24.
Oh, my gosh.
So, looks like it lasted for about a minute. Long enough to...
That is crazy.
A wing of an elementary school, we talked about that, collapsed.
Saquen a todos, se está escapando el gas. Se está escapando el gas, saquen a todos. Se está escapando el gas.
Oh my gosh.
No, saquen a todos, se está escapando el gas.
What do you do? How do you
even
begin?
start?
Sáquenlos de arriba.
There's just nothing you can do. There's no, when an earthquake happens, it's not like a tornado.
No.
It's not like an earthquake. It just happens. There's no warnings. It just happens. Rescuers dug at the pile of rubble and soldiers wedged in wooden beams to try to prevent it from crumbling.
That would be my fear.
Yeah, because in the rescue effort, you can be killed as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Or somebody that may be alive in your rescuing efforts could die, you know,
Right.
if it's not done correctly.
yeah.
This boy describes how he survived the collapse of his school during the earthquake in Mexico. I was in my English class and the ground started to vibrate. I said it was shaking because no alarm went off. I said it was shaking and we all went down quickly, and that's when I made the best decision of my life, which was not to go to the left, which is where everything fell first. I went to the right with my friends and we were going down the stairs. I did not fall, neither did my friends. There were too many, and then I didn't see them anymore. We were downstairs and I could see the whole school had fallen. There was all the dust and we could only cover ourselves. There weren't that many classmates, and I'm seeing that many that I knew. And a teacher died. Everything was so fast. I didn't see her. In 30 seconds, my school was down. And I don't even know how I saved myself. It took me almost 5 hours to get here. It was anguish. I heard on the radio about the school. And I thought, my God, my children. And no way of communicating with anyone. But thank God they're here. My kids, safe. Thank God for that, Mom.
Some kids aren't safe. Some kids didn't make it. This is another video I wanted to show you guys of this video here. This is building collapsing. More rescuing. Lots of, you know, this reminds me of people getting together for Harvey here. Just everyone just helping. Just everyone just helping.
Because I would like someone.
There's not much to say.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And that they fall so fast. There has to be people in there.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So, Mama Donna, who we know personally, says, this can be stopped. There is one way and one way only. God can change his mind, and he's done it before, but we as humans are too stupid to realize this, and we will carry on the way that we are. Since we choose to leave God out, he will stay out and not intervene to stop this. Here's the thing. I don't know what is going on, but I do know a lot is going on, and I do know that Donna is correct, that the only way for any of this to change, for God, the Bible does talk about how God blesses a nation. And so in order for these kinds of things to stop happening in our own country, we have to look at ourselves first. Each of us has to turn our hearts to the Lord.
Yeah, and I do think that Mexico is earthquake prone. Mexico is one of the most seismically active regions in the world. It sits on 3 tectonic plates. Mexico itself is practically on top of a fault line and is on a more earthquake susceptible area of land. This is because Mexico City was built built on a lake in 1325 by the Aztecs when they threw large amounts of soil into the lake to build a city on top of it.
I did not know this.
Over time, the softened land has become, as it made the buildings vulnerable to seismic activities. In 1985, Mexico City was sat on the epicenter of an 8-point earthquake. And in 2012, the city took another quake measuring 7.4. New building regulations were shortly after, but some developers still ignore them to save money. And so I think that when we take with the we're talking about the Industrial Revolution, the effects of an earthquake are not going to be felt. Pre-Industrial Revolution, when you're building skyscrapers, is when, and concrete buildings. If you're in a hut somewhere, you're not going to have that same thing. But I mean, seriously, when you think about the fact that, as we just all learned, Mexico City was built on a lake. It's soft land and it's prone to earthquakes. So you kind of have to be ready for this.
Will says New Madrid is northeast and San Andreas is northwest, respectively. As fault lines go, he's hoping that both remain calm in light of this.
Yeah.
Buildings to stay, and just 2 weeks.
So, I mean, it's awful what's happening. It's horrible, but I mean, it's almost to be expected when
Whoa.
shocking footage of a woman narrowly being hit by a piece of glass.
Whoa. Okay, I saw it. Yeah, it landed right behind her. Holy smokes.
Show that again.
It's like right in here, it lands. Boom.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. Missed her by just a second, didn't it?
Whoa, and then more.
Whoa,
oh my gosh.
whoa.
Wow. Praise the Lord. And that's why maybe she's got her right life with her life right with Jesus.
I saw some people making the sign of the cross during the earthquake.
So Cecilian Gal says builders knew this and still decided to make shortcuts to save money, and now lives have been lost. And you're right about that. I mean, there's nothing more. They did, and they don't just cut corners to save money. I think there's a lot of laws in place too that kind of restrict.
Some of the rubble fighters and volunteers still believe that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Just devastating here in Mexico. Devastating. So our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Mexico. And I really hate to be covering anything about DACA or crazy Nancy Pelosi, but we are. There's nothing against Mexicans. I think that's really important for us to make the distinction when we talk about the illegal immigrants and things like that. We're not talking about...
Well, what my hope is out of this is that, look at this. I mean,
They saved the puppy!
These people are going to come together.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that as a country, they can start making Mexico great again.
Make Mexico great again.
You know,
yeah.
As a people, united. And I don't know, sometimes it takes a tragedy. Not that it should happen, but sometimes out of tragedy does come, you know,
Absolutely.
a rebirth
Absolutely.
of sorts. It gets into people's souls. When you have to go in and risk your life and join together with your, you know, fellow community people, and there's such loss, it does something to communities.
Right.
And I'm kind of hoping that that's what's going to happen to Mexico, to make Mexico great again.
You can always, all things can work together for good for those who love the Lord.
Right.
You know, God can always turn things around. There were so many down buildings. I mean, there's just, it's not just one building, it was just so many buildings, so many people. I kind of wanted to show you some of the early videos weren't quite as, we didn't know it was as bad. Some of the early videos were just shown, here are people in the office building shaking. You can see there'll be a woman come right here. She makes a sign of the cross.
If you were in that building, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, terrified I would be.
No. There were people just kind of, there were some people on boats, and they were on vacation, and you could kind of see, and they were just kind of swinging around in the water, and they were okay. There were some people having like a party, and the pool literally emptied out of water.
That's insane.
So I wanted to find that one if I could. It was in another link, and I'm not sure I have it up. But, so I guess, I mean, we can move on.
Well, as far as, like, I think as Americans, we need to realize that when these kinds of things happen, we should help. Right. And I'm not even talking so much as a government, but just as a people. Here's the thing, guys. What shows a better unification between the right and Republicans that want a wall built, okay, that want people to come here legally, than to have them come together and donate. I think somebody earlier had said, don't donate to the Red Cross, donate to the Salvation Army. I don't know. Do your research.
That's what Alex Jones was saying today.
Find out who you can donate to. But I think that it says a lot if we come together as the libertarians, the right, or whatever, the people that they want to accuse of hating these people. We don't hate them at all. Now is a really good opportunity for us to join together to put our own money where our mouth is.
Right. Here's the
76 miles south and east of Mexico City.
A
massive earthquake striking central Mexico, particularly in and around Mexico City. What we know right now is it had registered 7.1 on the Richter scale.
I'm literally standing with my laptop on the sidewalk next to a coffee shop that has Wi-Fi, and that's how I'm able to communicate with you, because everything is closed right now. All the commerce, all the shops are still shut down. They've been shut down for more than an hour since the earthquake happened.
We know that you have the biggest quake in Mexican modern history since they've had seismographs over 100 years. That happened last week at 8.1. Now a 7.1 right in the middle of Mexico City, going up towards California, and those big fault lines up there, they're 12 years overdue for a mega quake.
So that's the craziness going on there. I think the next thing I had on the list, and it's hard to move on from there, was Trump was definitely wiretapped, or
yeah.
And what's hilarious about it is that I keep hearing Trump was definitely wiretapped, and then you hear the news saying, well, maybe he wasn't. It was Paul Manafort, who was his campaign manager, who happened to have an apartment in Trump's tower. But of course, Paul Manafort would have been talking to Donald Trump, so Trump was, in essence, wiretapped. And so it's a tap dance that keeps going around and around. But I wanted to play this one here because this is another person who was unmasked by the Obama administration.
What kind of information Special Counsel Robert Mueller is looking for in his investigation of Russian interference or their efforts at interference in last year's election? Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Harridge is here tonight with that. Good evening, Catherine.
Well, thank you, but a legal source confirmed to Fox News that Special Counsel Robert Mueller has made a broad records request to the White House covering multiple staffers and includes actions taken by President Trump. The New York Times reports the Special Counsel has 13 areas of interest, including the firing of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, as well as the firing of former FBI Director James Comey. The request reportedly included the May Oval Office meeting with Russian officials, where the president met with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And it's alleged by the Times Mr. Trump said firing Comey relieved the pressure on him. A member of the president's legal team told Fox News, out of respect for the Special Counsel and his process, the White House does not comment on any specific request request. Pardon me. I can only reaffirm that the White House is committed to cooperating fully with Special Counsel Mueller. In a separate development, Fox News is learning new information about the rapid pace of unmasking in the final months of the Obama White House. Two sources not authorized to speak on the record said the request from Samantha Power, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, exceeds 260, with one request coming in the days leading up to the inauguration. The House Intelligence Committee sent subpoenas in May for the unmasking requests by former CIA Director John Brennan, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, and Power. Records were also requested for Presidential Advisor Ben Rhodes. At a congressional hearing that same month, a senior committee Republican pressed the CIA director on the issue without mentioning Power by name.
Do you recall any U.S. ambassadors asking that names be unmasked?
I don't know. Maybe it's ringing a vague bell, but I could not answer with any confidence.
On either January 19th or up till noon on January the 20th, did you make any unmasking request?
I do not believe I did.
Spokesperson for Power today had no comment on the numbers or the timing of her requests, but in a previous statement emphasized to Fox that Power was acting in her capacity as a member of the National Security Council and never leaked classified information. Brett.
So there's a lot to this, and I don't really... It would take us hours and hours. I'm listening to things on Mueller and his investigation, and suddenly it's not going to be about Manafort and Trump, but suddenly it's about Manafort's own financial records. It just keeps going on and on and on. What's interesting, though, is that the Washington Post has now wondered if the FBI has done something untoward, which is why the Washington Post would question the FBI is beyond me. Samantha Power, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, was unmasking at such a rapid pace in the final months of the Obama administration that she averaged more than one request for every working day in 2016, and even sought information in the days leading up to President Trump's inauguration. Multiple sources close to the matter told Fox News, two sources who are not authorized to speak on record. So some people see the Trump wiretapping and the unmasking as all vindication of Trump being wiretapped. Tucker Carlson had Juan Williams on, and Juan Williams was like, "Oh, I don't see I don't see that as the truth." But Judge Judge Neapolitan? How do you say his name?
It beats me. You want to say Neapolitan? That's where you're headed. You're thinking ice cream.
Actually, I think he feels vindicated by it because he was one of the ones who tweeted it out. So, let's see. There's here's something that kind of goes along with this, but has nothing to do with anything right now. But I'll go ahead and bring this one up. Top GOP official says that Trump's White House Chief of Staff John Kelly voted for Hillary Clinton. Okay, so you guys I don't know if you guys watched this last night when we covered
images
pieces of Donald Trump's speech, but there are images, and they don't have them up here, of John Kelly with
has his head in his hand,
and he's shaking his head like, I can't believe you just said that, right? So here they're talking about this. Now listen.
We got these images. We don't have the images. I'm sorry. I forgot this.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah, you did see it?
I did see the picture.
Well, I hope that everybody at home has too. And I hope our producers will remember to visualize some of what we say here from time to time. The man sitting there with his, palm slapped against his forehead. What was all of that? And why should any president put up with it?
Well, he shouldn't, in my sense, and at least what I've heard from sources inside know Kelly, who's an honorable man and was a good general. He didn't vote. He voted for Hillary. So I don't think he basically is a Trump supporter or ideologically a Trump supporter.
Then what is the excuse for having the man there, ringside at the General Assembly for such an important speech, playing the part? I mean, he's playing the fool. If he were in a drama class, that could be extraordinarily rewarding. There we go. There he is.
He has to realize now, this is about the third photo shot they've taken of him. of him looking disgusted, what have you. And I think to a certain extent, he just needs to be behind the scenes. Chief of staff doesn't have to be out front in the pictures, so he can be behind the scenes.
He needs to be taken out.
Okay, but we have the good fortune of having seen
Translate that
how he
as you
feels.
will.
Right. So why should the president put up with this?
Well, the president needs to basically ask in a private meeting someday with his top advisors, how many of you are really for me? How many of you voted for me? How many of you believe in what I believe in? When I make a speech like this, how many of you are 100% behind me? And if you're not,
would lose them all.
Leave.
Very quickly.
Okay, so that's really...
He would lose every last one
That's
of them.
really pertinent.
Well, they might lie to him. They would all lie.
I'm so glad that these tweets are right next to each other because this is Sebastian Gorka saying the same thing. Ready?
Ring right now who not
Let me start
only
this
would
over.
have the fact is we have people in the West Wing right now who not only would have been at home in the Hillary Clinton White House, they would have been cabinet members, and that's a problem. We have
right now, there are people in Trump's White House who would have actually been cabinet members in Hillary's White House. How is that even a thing? Listen, you guys know we did not personally vote for Donald Trump, but we voted in Kansas Matt Stokes for president. We voted third party, but because of our own conscience. However, if you cannot see that Hillary Clinton is evil incarnate, then you don't belong anywhere near Donald Trump.
Right.
to exert pressure from the outside right now to redress that balance, to bring people in who are associated with the original agenda. I'm not saying Steve or myself are coming back, but right now the president is surrounded by a lot of people who wouldn't know MAGA from a hole in the ground.
I tweeted this out. They wouldn't know Make America Great Again from a hole in the ground. Okay? He is surrounded...
It's hole in the wall.
Hole in the ground.
It's hole in the wall.
Doesn't matter.
They wouldn't know it anyway.
They wouldn't know it from anything. Okay, so this is really important when we go back to... Sebastian Gorka had a big, long speech where he said to everybody who voted for Donald Trump, take a deep breath. We're in it for the long haul. Okay, and that's where we are at. Okay, take a deep breath when it comes to Donald Trump. Somebody tweeted out our video, Turtle, whoever you are on Twitter. I'm not sure what your handle is on here. Donald Trump's UN speech, 75% right on, 25% globalism. And I was like, okay, that's pretty.
Those were our numbers.
That's what he was saying. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what he was saying.
It's Napolitano.
Thank you.
Somebody had.
I'm
put
horrible
that.
at.
But maybe if you actually. Here you go. Napolitano. Maybe now you remember it. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you very much. I appreciate.
I've always heard holding the ground. I guess you're right.
Hold the ground. Okay. We are gonna get Random news story of the day. Are you ready for this?
No.
Ching. Naval staffers were fired over disturbing pics posted of mini Satan newborns. You see, this is one naval nurse saying, currently how I feel about these mini Satans. Workers at a naval hospital in Florida have been booted from their posts after sick photos went viral of them rudely posing with newborn babies and referring to the tots as mini Satans. And yes, I'm not kidding. We are aware of the photo and video posted online. It's outrageous, unacceptable. The hospital said we've identified the staff and the members involved.
Why would they think that little babies are little Satans?
I don't know. I just say don't let your kids out of your eyes because you never know what's going to happen to them. I don't trust anybody anymore. They're all just, most people are just evil now.
She should be like locked up.
Yeah, they should definitely be locked up. Let's see. Benjamin Netanyahu thanking Trump for his
the speech that he wrote.
No Israel in 25 years. End quote. 70 years after the murder of 6 million Jews.
Afghanistan. They were laughing.
Iran's rulers promised to destroy my country, murder my people. And the response from this body, the response from nearly every one of the governments represented here has been absolutely nothing. Utter silence. deafening silence.
And silence again.
I think he did that to make a point. He's great with order. He's great. He gives them the Netanyahu stare.
So while he's silencing the room again, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because we were kind of rushing through Trump's speech last night. But while I feel like he gave too much attention to Iran and not enough to, say, Saudi Arabia and other human rights violators across the world, I feel like he shouldn't have said the things that he said about Syria and Assad with the chemical weapons. Iran does have nuclear weapons. They have not denied it, with death to Israel on them.
And I'm not okay with that. So, listen, whether we back and support Benjamin Netanyahu and all of Israel all the time, let's set that aside. I am absolutely, unequivocally not okay with all of the nations that are allowing these threats to happen towards Israel. So he really does make a valid point here.
However, we are fair balanced here, okay? I realize that the Israeli government, we do not back and support everything the Israeli government does, just like we don't back and support everything our government does. I did hear from the grapevine on Israeli news, he's a Messianic Jew who is actually favorable to Israel. He says that the war in Syria, he's against the war in Syria, and he says that what's happening is that Israel is actually pumping oil from underneath the ground from Syria, and that the fight there is over oil there.
I think we all realize that it was over that pipeline.
Exactly.
But to hear that Israel's actually pumping it makes sense.
And so we have this, you know, I don't know if you want to say 10 of one, 20 of another. Let's see. I don't know if you want to cover this or not, but there's Venezuela right now. People are talking about the next regime change because Venezuela has dropped the dollar and it's turned over to U.S. or into euros, and Putin orders the end of U.S. trade dollars at the Russian seaports, going to the ruble.
And Justin, worth a look, our moderator here, he had sent that to us, which I think it's really telling that they're doing that, and I don't blame them. And I have to tell you, I'm hoping that other nations follow suit.
Right.
I know you guys went, oh, Michelle, no, don't say that. Put America first, you guys. The dollar is corrupt. It's called the petrodollar. It's not the U.S. dollar anymore. When I want people to go back to their own currencies and not base it on the United States dollar, you have to understand what the dollar represents. It represents the Federal Reserve, which is incredibly corrupt, and it represents the petrodollar and Saudi Arabia. The dollar, the American dollar, you must drop the word America from it. So I want these people to cut off use of the Federal Reserve fiat currency and cut off use of the petrodollar currency. So I am behind every nation that does it.
Amen. Okay, so
they took out Gaddafi for wanting to do it. They
Absolutely.
took out Saddam Hussein for doing it. So they're willing to kill people over this. I'm not okay with that, especially when it's in the wrong.
We are we're jumping all over the place. Not really jumping all over the place. Giving you today's news. Another news story today is, I believe, 3 congressmen were arrested today outside of Trump Tower for a sit-in. 3 congressmen arrested today.
Yeah, but arrested for how long? Still, it's really cool. But I'm like, can we keep them in jail for like ever? Probably not.
You will be arrested if you do not leave. So, there you have it. That's over DACA and illegal immigration, which we're going to get a...
Nancy wasn't there. Because it would have been way cool if they had arrested her.
That was another random story. You're going to hear one more random, crazy, weird story before we move on to DACA. This woman hates animals, and she's eating at some sort of fried chicken place.
But how do you hate animals, like in general?
She hates them. And this vet is like has PTSD or something and has a service dog, and this girl flips out.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's nothing. I'm leaving because the food is nasty and there's a dog. So what? What do you want to do about it? Nothing. He's alive because he fought for our country. Congratulations! Congratulations! My husband's dead! My husband's dead! Get to what's the point? Because he's alive! My husband's alive!
Kind of loses it a little bit. It's nasty to her. I don't think she understands the nature of a service dog. They get to go anywhere you go. I don't understand why somebody would be upset over a service dog, but she lost it and said some foul language.
She didn't take her meds today.
No, she didn't. All right, so let us move on. I believe I have this queued up.
When Allison believes you're evil. When did
Tucker.
Democratic politicians start talking like this? Maybe around the time Congresswoman Maxine Waters of Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, we're moving on to Crazy Nancy and Maxine.
Though, because we're gonna play the clip where she says the thing.
Yes, this is okay. We're gonna move from Maxine's craziness to Pelosi's craziness.
Okay.
Maxine Waters was at a eulogy memorial. She was giving a eulogy at a memorial service and started to talk about Trump and the KKK and impeaching Trump.
Became a folk hero
over his dead body.
In a recent appearance, Waters explained that the Trump administration isn't simply wrong on the issues, it's a front for the Klan.
I'm cleaning out the White House. This person who does not respect you, this dishonorable human being who cheats everybody, this dishonorable human being who will lie at the drop of a hat, this dishonorable human being who have the alt-right and the KKK and everybody else inside his cabinet. I'm going to say impeach 45 every day. Impeach 45 every day.
That's not political rhetoric. It's an incitement to hysteria and maybe worse. If you really thought the Ku Klux Klan controlled the White House, what would you do? What wouldn't you do? We're the adults in the Democratic Party. It used to be they were in leadership, but not anymore. Nancy Pelosi is the most powerful Democrat in the House of Representatives. She was once Speaker, you'll remember. She may soon be again. Pelosi isn't just tolerant of illegal, is now explicitly encouraging it. Watch this.
The list goes on and on about how we want to advance and protect the Dreamers until we can pass the bill. Their families did a great thing for our country, bring these kids here who are working, who are in the military, who are in school, who are a brilliant part of our future.
Wait a minute, because I know Tucker's going to say something, but I want you to hear. Just in case you missed that, she just said that we need to take care of the Dreamers' families because their families did a wonderful thing by bringing them here.
This is called talking outside two sides of your mouth, because just last week everybody was saying don't punish the children for the sins of their parents.
But now we're going to applaud them for bringing these wonderful children, and don't get me wrong, they probably are wonderful children, into our country. So, I mean, like, seriously?
Tucker had some Democrats on today saying, yeah, we are going to allow, we want them to become citizens. We want them to allow their sisters and their brothers and everyone.
Bring all in the family. Bring everybody.
Because the Democrats don't have a vision. And I'm going to bring to you the guy who runs Black Spear. And he says that he sat down with some NAACP members and said, yeah, we're really kind of messing over the black people right now. They're the, National Advancement of Colored People. We're messing over our darker colored people for the lighter colored people right now because we want to get these people on our voting rolls so then we can advance the Democratic agenda.
All right.
Breaking our laws is now a great thing, says one of our country's chief lawmakers. People who ignore the legislation Congress writes should be congratulated for it, says one of Congress's top leaders. That's more than perverse. This is what it looks like when the people in charge of a country decide to destroy it. Their motive is always the same. Political power. They lost it, they want it back, even if it means hurting the people they are sworn to protect. Democrats alienated the middle of the country during the Obama years, but they have no plans to convince.
So they can't bring back you guys. The Democrats can't bring back middle America.
Right.
So their only other option is to bring in new blood into our country, promise them things so that they will vote.
The only way they'll get new voters.
Those voters to return. Instead, they plan to replace them with new and more reliable voters from abroad and damn the consequences for the rest of us. That's why they're far more upset about DACA than they are about the opioid crisis. It's why they care more about preventing a border wall than they do about raising the wages of American workers. It's not complicated. What's amazing is that they're now saying it out loud. Michael Starr Hopkins is a Democratic attorney, a contributor to The Hill and The Huffington Post, and he joins us tonight from New York. Michael, thanks a lot for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tucker.
So it seems like kind of a profound moment where you have the chief lawmaker of one of the two main political parties explicitly encouraging people, congratulating them for breaking a law.
No, that's not what Nancy Pelosi was doing.
Well, she just said it. We just ran the tape. She said what you did was a great thing by breaking the law.
No, she wasn't saying by breaking the law you were doing a great thing. She was saying that by taking a dangerous journey, by trying to make sure that you...
I have to tell you, he spins so well. My head just went around like 360 degrees,
but
like several times.
Tucker straightens it out.
Made the life of your children better, improving the life and the plot of your family. That's an honorable thing to do. Most came to this country didn't come before 1920, or rather came before 1920 when there weren't immigration laws that are codified like they are now.
Okay, but it's not 1920, it's 2017, and there are immigration laws passed by the Congress over which she presides. And she's congratulating people for breaking a law that her body passed. I mean, you could make the same case. Someone robs a liquor store, and you say, "Boy, you took a lot of risks. There was security
no, go ahead.
Guard there. You had to drive the getaway car at high speed. You still break. I mean, and that may all be true, but you still broke a law. And so, for a lawmaker to encourage people to do that, it seems like something very different than I've ever seen before. Do you not perceive that?
One, I wouldn't say that she's encouraging people to break the law. I think she's saying that what they did, the act of coming across the border to ensure the life and the plot of their family, is something that, we should all honor and think about the risks that they're willing to take.
But why? But hold on. Again, you're eliding over the point that I'm making because I think it's an important one. I'm not attacking.
And I want to make a distinction because we were on the radio with those two guys last night,
Michael and Nick. If you guys didn't see that, Otto is here tonight from Primer Time. I think you can still, that audio saves, right, Otto? And it is www.ucy.tv, and their show is called Primer Time. So if you missed that interview that we did last night, I think you can go back and listen to it again.
But I believe that their ancestry, their parents came partly from Cuba. And actually, I really have to make a distinction between Cubans who are fleeing a murderous dictator to Mexico. Y'all, we can go in and out of Mexico. Mexico has the same internet that we have. I mean, Mexico is just they have cartels. They have a bad way of living, but it's just like they're poor, but they have mental freedom. How do I say this correctly? They're not communist. So when you have the refugees coming from Cuba, those are the people who risk their lives to flee a dictatorship that hopefully will change and become a democracy, whether it is a poor democracy or not. Okay? So in Mexico, we can move in and out of Mexico. Mexico is a democracy, technically Christian country, technically, freedom of thought, freedom of movement, things like that. So when our country is supposed to be able to take in political, mental, spiritual, religious refugees. Right. And those are the people. And when you put that kind of refugee status on a bunch of economic migrants, then you muddy the water for people, say, leaving the Cuban communist dictatorship or Kim Jong-un or whatever like that, right?
Right, exactly.
Recipients, I'm merely saying you have a lawmaker, someone in charge of laying down what is legal and what is not legal in our country, ignoring the fact that these people broke the law that she passed.
But I don't think she's ignoring that. That's what I'm saying.
But why wouldn't she say, as all politicians have until this moment, look, illegal immigration is wrong. You shouldn't break the law to get here. But, you're hardworking people or whatever. But she doesn't even say that. The party doesn't even say that anymore. They're openly encouraging. That's the whole thing. When was the last time? Okay, but I did watch it, and she didn't say that. And you're seeing again and again. I can spend a whole hour playing tape for you. Democrats applauding people for breaking immigration law.
That's not what they're applauding. Democrats are not applauding people for breaking the law. What we're saying is this is a country of immigrants. We are all here because someone came from somewhere else. And that the idea that people would risk their lives for a better life is at the essence of what we are as a people. At the essence
so that's more important. So, but again, what about the law? I mean, I'm not just being. Look, it's not just me. I'm just a talk show host. This is a lawmaker. This is someone whose whole job
right now we're debating the law. We're debating the DREAM Act and how we can go about fixing these laws. Because right now our system is broken, and I think that's something Democrats are
But
Republicans
you can
agree.
say that. Oh, okay. But I think everyone agrees our tax code is broken.
I like
and
this
all of us
point,
have
right?
opinions
Yeah.
about the ways in which it's broken. How would you feel if a member of Congress got up and said to people who are facing charges for tax evasion, you did a great thing. You know, I support what you did. It was brave what you did. You wanted to feed your family, so you didn't pay those taxes. Wouldn't you say, well, wait, hold on a minute. Our tax code's rotten, but like you can't. My point, it's not a false equivalency.
It's a really great equivalency.
A financial law versus someone endangering their life for
A financial law versus somebody endangering their life for better finances.
Yeah.
Finances. This is not people, and
Sounds pretty close to
he
me.
muddies the water because this is not about refugees fleeing dictatorships. Right.
Their family. Those are two different things.
Oh, really? Because I have a family, and I can promise you that financial, economic concerns are the main concerns. How am I going to feed these people? How am I going to pay for this house? They got to go to school. You want to go to summer camp? It's expensive. Like, these are the core questions people face, and they revolve around the tax code.
He can't
These
answer
are
this
American
question, so
citizens.
watch how he moves
Wouldn't
on.
you say, I know I would say, if I saw the Speaker of the House say, you know what, if you don't like the tax laws, just ignore them. I would say, whoa, the system's going to fall apart if you do that. You don't see this at all?
But what we're doing here is focusing on 10 seconds of Nancy Pelosi's comments today instead of focusing.
So then he doesn't have an answer there, and I love that. He literally has no response.
So we're focusing on 10 seconds, those 10 seconds.
Love that moment.
Where she says, your parents did a great thing bringing you here. It's absolutely insane, and I want you to listen to this argument here.
CP is declaring war on the Trump administration, but not on behalf of African Americans. Instead, the organization is suing to block the repeal of DACA for some reason. That is, of course, the Obama-era program that blocks deportation and gives work permits to illegal immigrants who arrived here as children. Kevin Jackson is executive director of the Black Sphere. He said that Trump should respond by suing the NAACP right back. Kevin Jackson joins us tonight. Kevin, it's great to see you. This story confused me. I'm open-minded, but it does seem like there's a lot of social science that shows that really high levels of low-skilled immigration hurt a lot of different groups, but they really hurt African Americans.
And I want to bring this down to a local level for you guys. For instance, and I always take this back to our local amusement park. It's called Kings Island. It's huge.
It's awesome. The Brainwaves came.
Teenagers love to work there. Yep. They just do. Everybody wants to work there. It's a cool place to work. And Kings Island had a thing where they would bus in inner city kids to come and work there, and it was a cool place to work. You got a decent wage.
I forgot about that.
You got free meals. You know, it was just a cool place to work. And
we had friends that we went to school with that actually worked there, but I forgot about them busing in the inner city kids.
And inner city kids, they all wanted to work there. Okay,
right.
These were black kids; they wanted to work there. However, I do believe that at one point they rescinded that; they wouldn't bus them in, and they hired Mexicans, brown people, to do these menial jobs. And so, what you have here. You have a lot of black people who voted for Trump because they see it in their everyday lives. They see the Mexicans will come in and they'll underbid a job that a black person might do or something like that.
I have to tell you, see, I have these memories in my mind of going to Kings Island and seeing friends that I knew and also just kids my own age, 16, 17, 18.
Of all colors and races, everybody.
And they would be pushing the trash cans, and they'd be sweeping up cigarette butts when it was actually legal to smoke there. And they were doing these menial jobs. And I kind of feel like nostalgic because I'm like, you know what? that was building character.
That's what I thought
in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when we were gone for several years, and then we came back, like Leah said, and all of these Mexicans were doing those jobs, and I just thought like that somehow this is not right
because they put the Mexicans in those jobs, not in the cool jobs, not on the rides, not serving food, just in the sweeping of the trash thing. So the leftist liberals are still slave owners.
Yeah.
And you guys know this, but we have to bring it up every time. The only reason the liberals are okay with having all the illegal immigration is they just love slaves.
That's right. Tucker.
In employment and wages. I mean, I don't really think that's up for debate. So why would the NAACP want more of it? It's very confusing to me.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are confused, Tucker. Look at what the NAACP wants to focus on and effectively lure Latinos into the country so they can give them some of this excellent service that they've given to black folks since 1903 or 1905, or the forming of the organization, which, by the way, was formed by Republicans. I mean, we've got high unemployment with blacks. That should be a complete focus for these folks. Yes, young black teens who are committing lots of crime because they don't have jobs, they don't have opportunity. They've stolen the imagination and creativity from these young folks, and now they want to shift their focus to helping DACA. It's ridiculous. And the other thing, Tucker, they should add to the lawsuit, Donald Trump, the president, he should add the co-conspirators of Barack Obama, the Congressional Black Caucus, I call them the Congressional Black Circus, and all of the bourgeois cocktail-sipping white enablers who also do the same thing. They are enabling this type of nonsense. The NAACP, if it wants to help black Americans, as you described, they should be focusing on teenage pregnancy. They should be focusing on education, better education. Tucker, we know what a black neighborhood means in the lexicon. We know what a black school means in the lexicon. HBCUs losing enrollment in droves. And so now we've got college kids moving from HBCUs to regular college campuses and doing what? Being disruptive. The NAACP is at fault for
HBCU. Historical black colleges and universities.
Almost everything that we're talking about. And guess what? Every member of the Congressional Black Circus is a member of the NAACP. That should tell you all you need to know.
It just seems there's a big difference between ignoring obvious problems, which is bad, and actively trying to hurt the people you're supposed to be representing. And again, I don't think there's any debate about this. This immigration policy and our current immigration policy hurts their members. And
absolutely.
So why are they doing this? What is in it for them? Why would you do that? What's the motive?
Well, I'll tell you a conversation that I know of. Former members of the Congressional Black Caucus said, Kevin, sometimes you got to break a few eggs in order to make an omelet. And what they were saying
Robespierre
is,
quote.
Even though, pardon me?
As Robespierre famously said, yeah.
Right. Well, the guy quoted whoever you were just talking about, and the point is this. They were saying that blacks are going to have to suffer while we topple the people in charge, white people. In order to do that, we need to utilize the Hispanics. And so it's going to hurt us for a while. So how is it hurting us, Tucker? When you live in a black neighborhood, it's probably not too far from a Hispanic neighborhood. These kids end up in black schools. English as a second language is a norm around there. All of the different problems that society ends up that we face in the black community are exacerbated when you bring in all of these immigrants illegally under DACA and pretend that you want to help blacks.
Yes.
They do not want to help blacks at all.
It's been a huge issue in Los Angeles, which has been completely ignored by the media, but if you live out there, you know what I'm talking about, and it's really hurt people. Kevin, thank you for that. I'm amazed.
So I really appreciate what he had to say there.
Voice of reason.
Exactly, and I thought that we would revisit a couple of the Nancy Pelosi here, with the Dreamers.
A white woman telling you.
Remember, some of you got to see it. Some of you probably didn't. Where Nancy Pelosi is surrounded by the DACA people who are so mad at her, they shut her down, and she has to leave her own little press conference.
Now, this video comes with a trigger warning. In it, you will see a white woman telling a group of people of color to be quiet so she can white-splain to them. Please have any small children cover their ears. In fact, you should probably cover your own, too. Watch this.
For a long time, we've been fighting the fight for the Dreamers.
Not just the dreamers. All 11 million.
Do you want to hear an answer, or do you just want to shout? Yes, I am.
I'm embarrassed for her.
Yes, I am. You do not.
You are a liar. You are a liar.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I've been fighting for you. I've been fighting to bring all you people in here so I can have your votes. That's what.
Through my Botox lips and everything. Read my Botox lips.
Nancy's created a monster that's turned on her. Thank you, Jim. Well said.
Let me say this, because you've had your say, and it's beautiful to our ears to hear your protection, your self-dignity.
It's beautiful. Just stop.
Just stop it now.
Just stop it now. Yes or no?
I like that she feels that she can talk to them and reason with them.
We did not vote for you or any politician. That's because you're not a citizen, young man. We do not owe you nothing. And I would say that America owes you...
Well, that's the problem when you're repeating somebody.
Nothing.
And you don't know what they're going to say.
We don't owe you nothing.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. Nope, it looks like a daggone mob to me.
This is what democracy looks like. 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 This is what democracy looks like.
I don't really think they know what democracy looks like because I want to tell these young people we didn't vote and allow you to be citizens, young people. Any thoughts on this, on the Nancy Pelosi illegal immigrant thing? Anyone?
Really, it just says now she knows what it's like trying to reason with groups like Antifa.
Absolutely.
I'm saying the Mexicans would overtake the Muslims and run them out. Oh, that's when I think Albert had said that we should send them to Dearborn, Michigan. I thought that was really funny. Let's see. Dems loved it when Republicans got shouted down. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, not so much.
Not so much.
This is what Antifa looks like.
Absolutely.
You're not entitled to a darn thing. Suck it up, Buttercup. You ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you, Redneck
Ain't
Survivors.
seen nothing yet. Okay, so, how many of you...
Too bad it's supposed to be a republic and not a democracy. Thank you, Otto, for that.
How many of you would like to see a reporter lose it?
Wait, hang on. We can't play it. These curses.
I am going to play parts of it. Okay, so...
You're going to play it, and what's going to happen is you're going to try to bleep out all the cuss words, and you're just going to play all the cuss words and leave anything else.
Okay, hold your ears. What happened was this guy, his name is Lawrence O'Donnell. There is an 8-minute clip. He goes ballistic because he hears something in his ear, and then he hears some hammering. Somebody put it together to an O'Reilly thing, an MC Hammer. There are swear words.
There are several swear words.
Yes, there are swear words.
Okay, warning. Let's give all of our parents a chance to get children out of the room and anybody that does not want to hear the F-bomb repeated to do what they gotta do.
I'm not playing this because it's F-bomb. I'm playing it because this is what I believe the mainstream media looks like behind the scenes.
Okay.
What's going on? Why am I losing this?
Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter.
Who's asking for a Labor Day rundown in my ear?
There, I can't read it. There's no words on it.
Somebody said he's like having a poltergeist movement.
You have insanity in my earpiece.
There's no words.
That's called your brain, buddy.
I don't know what that means, to play us out.
Stop the hammering.
Stop. Time.
All right, go.
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer?
I can't do it.
Where is it? Where's the hammer?
We'll do it live.
Somebody go up there and stop the hammering.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Stop the hammering.
Do it live.
I'll go down to the goddamn floor myself and stop it.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Call fucking Phil Griffin. I don't care who the fuck you have to call. Stop the hammering.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Fucking out of control shit.
When you don't have, when you can't use your words,
Jesus
use your
Christ.
words, Lawrence. This is what happens.
This fucking stupid hammering.
He needs vocabulary lessons.
Fucking thing sucks.
It fucking sucks.
Fucking thing sucks.
Any fucking thing can come into my ear at any moment.
We'll do it live.
That word, you keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it
Get
means.
into my fucking ear at any time.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
All right, so that you can watch the entire tirade. They just brought O'Reilly back to kind of make a point that they do this. Is this for real? Yes, it is real.
Okay. I'm just gonna play you a piece of the original.
But he did bring a hat.
This is what it looks like on.
That is for sale.
58 seconds.
What's going on? Why am I losing this? Why don't I
This
have
is an
sound?
8-minute thing. We're only gonna play a minute of it.
All right, it's back. Someone's pressing buttons and turning my sound off. Who's asking for a Labor Day rundown in my ear?
His nostrils flare there a minute.
Watch him go in and out from the clips. This is, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I watched the whole thing.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
He kind of escalates. Folds the paper. You think it might be over.
He starts crinkling and, I mean, he throws a pen at one point.
He's
God damn it.
Oops. He's rather calm here. He gets a little bit more angry as it goes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready?
So the president went to Texas today, and as Politico reports, he did not meet a single storm victim, see an inch of rain.
He is bashing
or get
Trump
near
the
a
entire
flooded
time.
stream born in horrific disaster and tragedy, and into that tragedy today stepped
Oh my
the
gosh.
president of the United States.
Trump didn't even do this and he didn't do that. Now watch.
There's insanity in the control room tonight.
There's insanity in your head, yes.
15 seconds.
It's almost worth it. Stick with
Look
it.
at his face.
He's like having attacks.
4.
4. Ready? Here he goes. He has to newscast again.
If you think the president's language was a little too celebratory about the sudden fame that can happen
I can
to
tell
somebody
something about your language, buddy.
should welcome. If you think the president's language missed closer and closer to the president himself. One of the deaths in Houston that was
Didn't even
ignored
care
by
about-
President Trump is Police Sergeant Steve Perez,
Oh
who
my
had been
gosh.
missing since Sunday morning.
Now watch. Here he goes.
You have insanity in my earpiece.
Wait. Don't touch it.
Don't leave it there. It's not my earpiece. It's somebody talking on our lines.
Ten seconds.
10 seconds. 5.
4, 3.
Snap in.
President Trump did not mention Sergeant Perez today, and he has not tweeted about people are in shelters across Texas tonight. Here's Houston's Mayor Sylvester Turner this afternoon.
Okay, here we go. Next page.
Every time we go to a SOT, there's a woman talking in my ear about something that has nothing to do with what we're doing here.
Are we going to watch the whole 8 minutes?
It's funny. I'm going to watch as
Okay,
much as I
fine.
can. It's
That's
hilarious. It gets worse and
10
worse.
seconds.
10 seconds.
Joining us now, James Fallows, national correspondent for The Atlantic and former speechwriter for President Jimmy Carter. Also,
You wonder what goes behind the scenes. Somebody was incredibly angry at this guy, and they leaked this.
I know.
It had to get out from the newsroom itself.
Right. I love that when he does that. It's kind of very girly.
James Fallows and Josh Ernest, thank you both for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Coming up, is Donald Trump going to be called to testify to Congress? Michael Liskoff has the latest on that.
Mama Donna says, I think it's Hillary in your ear.
I think it had to be.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering. I'll go down to the goddamn floor myself and stop it. Keep the goddamn commercial break going. Call fucking Phil Griffin. I don't care who the fuck you have to call. Stop the hammering. Empty out the goddamn control room and find out where this is going on. It's either there, or out there somewhere. The woman talking in my ear was talking about the Labor Day special repeatedly.
Maybe you need to save some money. Go get a good deal.
Yeah, what do you mean in the conversation? Not in the Bush thought, no.
Get on there and I'm going to start crumpling papers here in a minute.
Fucking out of control shit.
Well, it goes on. 1 minute.
It's got a whole minute to tirade, actually. The 60 seconds is a long time.
I don't know why I bother to say how to cut the slots when you don't do it. I just don't, I don't know why I just... So now I have to chase those stupid goddamn entrails that you allowed him to stick out there.
Pen is going
Christ.
Down because
Crazy
that
fucking
pen
sound
is to
coming in my
blame.
ear.
Bring
All
Jesus into it.
Here we go.
Wait, I have to play this. Now, somebody put this up there. This is hilarious.
Well, but here's another curse word again.
No!
That's from
the Scrooge. And so I tweeted out that, you know, that Lawrence O'Donnell needs a come to Jesus Scrooge moment. So
yes, that's exactly what he needs. It's like some sort of Hallmark movie where we've all seen, you know, the like Scrooge, you know, the ghosts of Christmas past and whatnot. But here's the thing. For Resistance Chicks, Gary does an excellent job of moderating, nipping all the curse words in the bud. I completely give our moderators free reign. I have to tell you, I didn't give them any real guidelines when I signed them up for this gig that they volunteered for and get nothing in return. So they're allowed to do whatever they feel led to do. I trust them. I would leave curse words. You know what I mean, for comments, but.
If it bothers the moderators, then
I'm down for it because
okay.
There's no reason not to delete a curse word. You don't have to use it. You can come up with something better to say. But I do have a beef with the F-bomb. Leah and I say this a lot, and I'm going to get a little grotesque on you.
Not the F-bomb.
I'm not going to say it.
You said, I have a beef with the F-bomb. We say this a lot.
Oh, yeah, we don't actually say it, no. When people use that word, all right, if we quote Princess Bride, you keep using that word. And I don't think it means what you think it means. So when he says, it's in my effing ear, we all know what the word means, man. So stop using the word erroneously because it doesn't make any sense. You got to use it in context if you're going to use it. It makes you sound really stupid. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, so I promise.
But we don't curse here at Resistance Chicks, and we appreciate that the moderators keep it clean. This is a clean show for family friendly, except for that you just saw. Sorry.
I promised you some information on Trump being wiretapped. This is Tucker Carlson again.
It's Tucker night.
It's Tucker night. He mocked critics in a sarcastic voice, saying, "Wiretapping, come on, that's tinfoil hat stuff. It's nuts." The Daily Caller co-founder continued, "Now, in another time with more trustworthy institutions, that would have been the end of the story, but we live in a country with deeply corrupt institutions, And what's interesting here is that another clip that I want to show you, in addition to the Manafort, is they came out with, the reason I'm bringing these two together is James Clapper is behind a new organization that is using the voice of actors, specifically Morgan Freeman, to tell us that we are literally at war with Russia. And it's James Clapper who said, "No way, no how was Trump wiretapped." So I'm going to play this clip here.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Last spring, President Trump drove official Washington into hyperventilation by publicly claiming the Obama administration had wiretapped members of his campaign staff at his office at Trump Tower prior to the last election. Now, not everything the president says on Twitter is factually accurate, but to anyone who's been in Washington for a while, that claim didn't seem crazy or even really that unlikely. That sort of thing does happen here, and everybody knows it. So imagine how confusing it was to see a parade of prominent Washington figures leap forward to denounce Trump's claim as not just untrue, but insane. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan confidently told reporters that, quote, "We have not seen any evidence of wiretapping at Trump Tower or on anyone within Trump Tower." Richard Burr and Mark Warner, those are the two top senators on the Senate Intel Committee, and they would know, they dismissed the claim as well. The Justice Department denied surveilling Trump staff, as did then FBI Director Jim Comey, while giving sworn testimony before Congress. So suspicions confirmed, the media laughed derisively. Wiretapping? Come on! That's tinfoil hat stuff. It's nuts! Now, in another time, with more trustworthy institutions, that would have been the end of the story. But we live in a country with deeply corrupt institutions, and so it turns out all those patronizing assurances that nobody's spying on political campaigns were false, and probably intentionally so. According to a new report from CNN, Paul Manafort, who for a time last year was Trump's campaign chairman, was wiretapped by the federal government both before and after the election. Now, Manafort, it ought to be noted, had an apartment inside Trump Tower during that time, so it's virtually certain that surveillance of him would have included other members of the Trump campaign staff, maybe even Trump himself. In other words, it looks like Trump's tweet may have been right. So why did three top members of Congress from both parties and the country's top law enforcement officer all assure us the surveillance didn't happen, that there wasn't a shred of evidence to suggest it had happened? Were they lying, or did they simply not know? Neither answer is comforting. Either the intelligence agency has gone rogue, pursuing its own goals without meaningful oversight from elected officials, or our officials are colluding with one another to lie to the public, apparently for political reasons. Either way, something ominous is happening in Washington. Last year's election terrified the permanent class here, mostly because it was a genuine populist uprising that they couldn't control despite all efforts. Since the election, they've done everything in their power to reverse the result, or simply pretend.
Hillary Clinton, she said today or yesterday, I think, she said, "I feel like I'm Paul Revere." She's Paul Revere now, telling everyone the Russians are coming.
Oh, my.
It never happened.
Wow.
In an ironic twist, they become exactly what they claim to oppose. They collude behind closed doors to push a narrative of secret collusion. They compare the president to Vladimir Putin and then use secret surveillance and politically motivated leaks to menace their political enemies.
What evil people do is they do something and then they accuse their enemies of it to hide their own tracks.
And then, for good measure, they lie about it. In the name of protecting democracy, they're doing everything they can to subvert the results of a democratic vote. Irony of ironies. No Russian
Hillary Clinton said she has not ruled out redoing the whole election.
hacking has ever threatened this country more than that.
Because she's in charge. She can make that happen.
Solomon Weisenberg served as a deputy independent counsel.
So they don't really hash out much more than that. I want to take you to two more things before we go. Go ahead.
So, Mama Donna, I will send you the link to our pet sitting website. I think I have your contact stuff. If not, send me an email. But she was asking, she needs to go on a trip and wants our pet sitting info. And I just, sometimes we need a laugh. And Redneck Survivalist gave one, and I really appreciate it, so I'm going to pass it along. He says, the Chinese have a pet sitting service. It's called Doggone.
That's awful.
Joke.
They eat dogs. They're
No,
really
you just
sad.
made that up. That's a hilarious joke.
Disgusting.
You missed your calling comedian.
All right, so this is from the Wall Street Journal, and this goes along with this goes along. It says, extraordinary and worrisome. The Wall Street Journal demands to know how the FBI meddled in the 2016 elections. When Donald Trump claimed in March that he had his wires tapped prior to the election, and the President Obama officials dismissed the accusation as a fantasy. Zero Hedge says they were among the skeptics, but former Director James Comey politicized FBI. The story is getting more complicated with James Comey's politicized FBI. CNN reported Monday that the FBI obtained a warrant last year to eavesdrop on Paul Manafort, Trump's campaign manager, from May to August 2016. The story claims the FBI first wiretapped Manafort in 2014 while investigating his work as a lobbyist for Ukraine ruling party. That warrant lapsed, but the FBI convinced the court that administers the Foreign Intelligence the FISA Act to issue a second order to probe into the Russian meddling in the election. Guess who lived in the condo of Trump Towers? Paul Manafort. The story suggests the monitoring started in summer or fall and extended into 2017. While Mr. Manafort resigned from the campaign in August, he continued to speak to candidate Trump. It is thus highly likely that the FBI was listening to the political and election-related conversations of a leading contender of the White House. That's extraordinary and worrisome. Mr. Comey told Congress in late March that he had no information that supports Trump's tweets of being wiretapped. But being wiretapped means if they at all are listening to your phone, you are being wiretapped. Whether Manafort was wiretapped or Trump was the wiretap-e,
the conversations that were being had between the two were being tapped.
Okay, and so someone was listening in to the president-elect's conversations. James Comey would have known about it. Obama would have known about it, and everyone was lying through their teeth.
Liars. The MSN knew about it,
including James Clapper. Now he is the one who said, "Don't mess with the CIA, Trump. They have 7 ways to Sunday to take you out, buddy." All right. So James Clapper was even more specific and said that there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time or as a candidate or against his campaign. He denied any such FISA order existed. The warrant's timing may also shed light on the FBI's relationship to the infamous Steele dossier. It all goes back to the Steele dossier, okay, guys? That widely discredited P-Gate, claiming ties between Russians. We call it P-Gate because part of it was that Trump had Russian prostitutes peeing on sheets. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Between Russians and the Trump campaign was commissioned by left-leaning research firm Fusion GPS and developed by former British spy Christopher Steele, who relied on Russian sources. But the Washington Post and others have reported that Mr. Steele was familiar to the FBI. He was paid by the FBI to do this research, had reached out to the agency about his work, and he even arranged a deal to be paid. The FISA court sets a high bar for warrants on U.S. citizens, and presumably even higher bar for wiretapping a presidential campaign. Did Mr. Comey's FBI marshal the Steele dossier to persuade the court? All of this is reason for House and Senate investigations to keep exploring how Mr. Comey's FBI was investigating both presidential campaigns. They're still going after Russia, but they dropped Hillary Clinton, even though there's no Trump hammering of computers. There are endless. Nobody has a complete the fifth or given a deal on the Trump campaign to testify. All these, but Hillary's thing was shut down by this same FBI that's still investigating Donald Trump with no available evidence. None whatsoever. Russian meddling is a threat to democracy, but so was the FBI if it relied on Russian disinformation to eavesdrop on a presidential campaign. The Justice Department and FBI have stonewalled congressional requests for documents and interviews citing the integrity of the special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, but Mr. Mueller is not investigating the FBI. And in any event, his ties to the Bureau and Mr. Comey make him too conflicted for such a job. Congress is charged with providing oversight of the law enforcement and should step in. Now, this is disconcerting. I will go ahead and play this, even though I don't really want to watch it again. But I want to let you know that this same James Clapper, it had put together this thing. There's a Facebook page and everything, where they have this task force to investigate the Russian. I thought maybe this one would have the video. We're gonna get to the video here. Oh! I know what I do. I wanted to actually give you the Russian response to it. The Russian actually has a response. I think I have it up somewhere. Russia says that Morgan Freeman is having some issues. So let me see if I can find.
So, let's see where I can insert some of these comments here. Start your fireplaces with Hillary's book. I bet Hillary herself has bought 100,000 copies of her book. Nobody will read her book. They just buy it to look progressive. Somebody had said that her book is doing so bad that it is now on sale on Amazon for $17.99, and used ones, I guess they've already been read that fast, for $13.99.
That's funny.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so the Kremlin reacted to a video featuring Morgan Freeman that announces the U.S. is at war with Russia by asserting the actor is suffering from stress.
Oh.
The 2-minute clip features Morgan Freeman announcing Russia attacked the United States by interfering in the presidential election. The group behind the video, the Committee to Investigate Russia, claims to be nonpartisan, yet is made up of the Never Trump neocons like Max Boot and David Frum and James Clapper. James Clapper, Obama's spy master, was caught lying about the Trump campaign being wiretapped. And so the group is also kissing up to Hillary Clinton. The Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said Freeman's words were purely emotional during a press conference earlier today, and that the video couldn't be taken seriously because it was not based on the real information. Many creative people fall prey to emotional stress without real information about the real state of things, he's quoted by saying. Peskov added that the campaign was a continuation of a form of McCarthyism, and that with time this will pass. Okay, so it's hard to. We don't have to watch the whole thing.
It's that spy, and this is no movie script. We have been attacked. We are at war.
Okay, who's responsible for this video? Oh, it's a non-partisan group. So who's in it? Hollywood director Rob Reiner, who called for an all-out war to resist Trump. David Frum, a neocon who voted for Hillary Clinton and called on Trump to resign. Max Boot, a CFR globalist who said that Trump was too stupid to be president. And James Clapper, Obama's spy master who has attacked Trump on numerous occasions. So it's basically a coalition of never-Trump neocons in alliance with hysterical anti-Trump leftists. Yeah, really non-partisan.
Using social media to spread propaganda and false information, he convinces people in democratic societies.
Evil Vladimir marshaled the fake news army to manipulate millions of Americans, and that itself is fake news. A Stanford University study found that fake news didn't significantly impact the election, and that the most widely believed fake news stories were those that benefited Hillary Clinton. Oh yeah, and it's pretty ironic that James Clapper, who perjured himself by lying about the wiretapping of the American people.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No.
No, sir.
The way he's kind of holding his head there, it's kind of...
Tucker had Juan Williams on there, and he mentioned this, that he totally lied, and Juan Williams said, well, that was one time. It doesn't mean that he would lie again. Ha!
It does not. Not.
He has a tell! I'm going to play this in poker!
No!
I'm playing this man in poker. He just told him. He scratches his little bald head.
You know why?
He
It's
just
kind of
starts
a
to shake.
fearful thing. It's like, That's the kind of like, I'm going to eat the cyanide if I say yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might as well bite down on the pill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he cannot say yes. He has to lie. It's that or die.
Lie or die.
Lie or die.
Wittingly. Who himself put out fake news when he lied on a news show by claiming the intelligence community didn't wiretap the Trump campaign.
There was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign.
A claim we now know to be completely false.
CNN has learned that investigators wiretapped former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort.
He's the one now complaining about fake news. Give me a break.
He convinces people in democratic societies to distrust their media.
Given that the pedestrian...
We should.
Don't distrust the media, comrade. Listen to everything we say. Follow the circles. Yes, Hillary. Yes, Democrats. We do whatever you say all the time.
Revealed the media were shameful, sycophantic prostitutes for the Hillary Clinton campaign and the political class. Distrusting the media is just about the most democratic thing Americans could ever do.
For 241 years, our democracy has been a shining example to the world of what we can all aspire to.
Yeah, until 2017, when the deep state took a dump all over it by trying to overthrow a democratically elected president.
Join the committee to investigate Russia.
Yes, comrade!
Is this the
right
best
away, comrade!
Is this all you have left? An 80-year-old actor reading a teleprompter. Spewing a script written by the denizens of the deep state. And you really think you're going to convince people with this? Listen, if America had wanted a war with Russia, Hillary Clinton would be president right now. She isn't. And this level of desperation only shows that just like Hillary on September 11, 2016, your Russian narrative is collapsing.
Good
Well
job,
said.
Paul, you did such a good job there. That was very impressive. Okay, any last remarks here?
You make it sound like it's like they're gonna
Of
be
the day?
executed. Do you have any last words you would like to add before you get cut off? Here.
I have some kind of like a little kind of like a happy story if I can find it.
James Clapper not only sounds like an infection, he looks like one.
Yeah. There was some Black Lives Matter people who came to... Did you guys see that one? Let me see if I can bring it up on YouTube. Black Lives Matter... Let's see if it just comes up.
Gary says Soros will not divide us. I agree. And that's one thing that we need to constantly go back to. It never gets old. Who is the puppet master controlling all of the strings behind propaganda like that? It's George Soros trying to create division in America. And the beauty is that Hillary's book sales that have just, plummeted to nothing, those immigrants, or migrants I should call them, yelling at Nancy Pelosi, calling her a liar, nobody is believing you anymore, even on the left.
Right.
And that is the beauty. The left is not even believing their own media.
Right.
They're not believing you anymore, Hillary. You can try to run in 2020 and it will be a sham, an embarrassment. I would be shocked if the Democratic Party actually let her run in 2020. It would be that big of an embarrassment. There is no more surefire way for Donald Trump to get reelected than for Hillary Clinton to run again.
Absolutely, it'd be fantastic if she did. And this is what our country is about. I want to show you this. This has been played over 30,000 times, 30,765,000 times on Facebook. Some Black Lives Matter. This guy is a Christian. I think he might even be a pastor. I don't know. They showed up at this the Mother of All rallies to protest it,
okay.
And. It turns around.
What happens when Black Lives Matter shows up at a Trump rally?
Some people are saying, if you don't like it, get out.
protesters getting ready to do some patriotic stuff. Don't even give them the spotlight. Everybody get back over here. They don't exist. Don't give them the spotlight. Walk away. Go back. This is America. If they don't like that, that's their problem. Let them come on over.
No one expected what would happen next. I'm going to let Black Lives Matter come up here while I show them what patriotism is about.
It's about freedom of speech. It's about celebration. So what we are going to do is something you're not used to, and we're going to give you 2 minutes of our platform to put your message out. Now, whether they disagree or agree with your message is irrelevant. It's the fact that you have the right to have the message.
I am an American.
And goosebumps.
And the beauty of America is that when you see something broke in your country,
You can't tell me that that stops right there.
No. What's happening? Like,